Welcome to Shelby Stitcher. This is Joan Parker. This is part 5 of my bullet journal series. Today I'm going to talk about my customer quilts and how I handle those. You see where I'm pointing in my journal that Leslie dropped off a Hawaiian colored quilt. She picked out a dark purple thread in a hibiscus quilting pattern. This second picture shows after I measured the top and recorded that, and then I put down how big of a back and batting I would need. Here is the rundown of the cost for her: the machine quilting, batting cost, thread, backing fabric, backing labor. There was no cost for a label, and then I washed and dried it for her as well. Now I'm going to talk about a couple different quilts I've done for customers. This one was an antique one. This is also an antique quilt, both for the same customer who doesn't sew at all. So her cost included everything with the thread and putting on the binding and everything. This is a shop hop quilt that my friend Marianne made, and we both live in North Carolina, so that was kind of fun to see all the different places. This was a disappearing 9-patch that a friend of mine in Florida sent me to quilt for her granddaughter. It was all pink and black and flamingos. This was a beautiful cross quilt by my friend Marianne, and I really enjoyed doing this one. She did her own binding and trimming and labeling because she quilts also. This is the back of a quilt I made for a customer in the oakish leaf pattern that I learned from Susan Smith of Stitch by Susan. This was a quilt I did for our local guild for free, just for practice and just as a donation of my time on their behalf. This is one of the prettiest quilts I've ever quilted. It was all in solid bright colors. I just love the way this one looks. This was another Quilt Guild donation quilt that I offered to quilt. I did a feather in the border, and then I did line dancing in all the blocks. This is an antique quilt from a friend of mine in Pennsylvania. It's not really antique. She made it herself, but it was over like a 40 or 50-year process. This is a baby quilt from a friend of mine. I did a ribbon candy pattern on there, and she just loved that. It was nice and soft for a new baby. This is also a customer quilt that was all green and purple and creams. Very striking color combination. This was quilted in wonky feathers. This was done by my friend Joyce, and she's a beautiful piecer, one of the best. This was a quilt that was made for one of my neighbors from when I was growing up. She purchased it from me, and she and her mother just loved it. I put the well up there because I was quilting this very old quilt and didn't realize till I put the binding on that one of the block parts was flipped upside down. Too late. This is a quilt I did. It was a single piece of fabric, and she insisted I quilt in white, and I did. This was another customer that was new to me. She wanted ribbon candy and hearts for her very precious granddaughter. This is a t-shirt quilt for one of my friends whose son-in-law passed away, and she made each of his children a quilt out of his shirts.